The attention is now focused on Manchester. The city breathes football, but not everything is calm behind the scenes of the current European champions. The transfer market is buzzing, rumors are gaining strength, and the decisions being made today could determine the club's future for the next few years. It's a time for change, renewal, and above all, caution. While many thought that Manchester City's squad was almost complete, news has emerged that has shaken up the Premier League behind the scenes. Brighton has made an official offer of $20 million for a player who is part of Manchester City's plans for the right-back position. A bold move that not only surprised, but also raised an alarm at the Etihad Stadium. The Southern English club has shown that they are willing to compete for key targets and are not content with simply watching the Giants act from the sidelines. The City board, led by Hugo Vanna, remains firm in its mission to fine-tune the squad. After a grueling season marked by tough decisions and moments of immense pressure, the focus now is to build an even stronger and more cohesive team before the 2025-26 season kicks off. And even with 5 changes already made before the start of the Club World Cup, the feeling is that more alterations are still to come. The most impactful departure so far has been that of Kevin De Bruyne, an icon of the Guardiola era. A maestro who commanded the midfield for almost a decade, he simply left the club for free. No renewal, no epic farewell, just a silent transition to Napoli. And as strange as it sounds, the number 17 now belongs to City's past. On the other hand, reinforcements have started to arrive. Names like Ait Nouri, Rangers, Turkey, and goalkeeper Bettinelli have already donned the sky blue shirt. But Pep Guardiola, known for seeking a balance between youth, technique, and tactical discipline, is still not satisfied. The squad needs fine-tuning. One of the most sensitive areas, the right side of the defense. Kyle Walker, who has been an important figure in the defensive sector for years, has his days numbered at the club. After a brief spell at Milan, where he didn't convince enough to be signed permanently, the defender is now on the market, and City is on the lookout for a suitable replacement. During the Club World Cup, Pep even experimented with Matheus Nunes and Rico Lewis, but it became clear that improvisations are not sustainable. The name in the spotlight is Wesley Franco, a young standout from Flamengo who had already been closely monitored by City scouts. However, Brighton's official $20 million offer has thrown a wrench into the plans. Wesley is willing to make the leap to the Premier League, and Flamengo, in turn, wouldn't rule out a sale. However, everything will be decided after their participation in the Club World Cup. City now needs to act fast or risk seeing a promising target wear another English shirt. The race is on, and time is running out for Pep Guardiola. And Wesley's name is not the only one involved in this chess game. The club is also keeping an eye on Tino Livramento, who is currently targeted by both City and Newcastle. However, negotiations have cooled. The asking price is considered high, and Livramento, focused on the England U21s, has avoided any transfer talks. The silence in this case could be a strategy. In the midst of this uncertainty at right back, another concern emerges: the first injury of the season. During the Club World Cup match against Al Ain, a comfortable victory that served as a test for several players, one name stood out, or rather his absence in the second half. Eche, the young Argentine who had been impressing with his skill, left the field and didn't return after the break. According to Guardiola, it's just a slight ankle twist. Nothing alarming, but enough to rule him out of an important game. The Catalan coach chose not to take any risks and made the substitution out of precaution. However, the absence is worrying. The next opponent is Juventus, and any slip-up could prove costly. The victory against Al Ain was comprehensive, with goals from Gundogan, Eche, Haaland, Bob, Turkey, and another from Gundogan. City showed its offensive strength. But the focus now is to secure top spot in the group. A draw against Juventus might not be enough, and the possibility of facing the second-place team from Real Madrid's group, which includes dangerous opponents like Salzburg and Al Hilal, does not sit well with Guardiola. The coach also made it clear that there will be no rotation against Juventus. The lineup will be as strong as possible. The priority is to win, qualify in first place and avoid any unpleasant surprises. Eche's recovery has therefore become a strategic matter. His dynamic style and ability in tight spaces make him a valuable weapon, and Guardiola knows this. While City prepares for this decisive clash, an interesting story is unfolding off the field. Kevin De Bruyne, now a Napoli player, has been consulted by Antonio Conte about potential reinforcements. And the name on the table? Jack Grealish. The two played together 92 times at City with an enviable record: 63 wins, 25 draws, and only 4 defeats. But curiously, they combined for only 5 goals. A modest number, which may hide untapped potential. Conte wants to try this duo in Italy, and De Bruyne has reportedly said that Jack is the guy, a direct and enthusiastic compliment. However, there's a major obstacle: the salary. Grealish earns $300,000 per week in Manchester, a figure considered far beyond Napoli's reality. Therefore, the negotiation will depend more on the player's willingness than on the figures. But the possibility exists, and only time will tell if these two will reunite in Serie A. Meanwhile, another name is beginning to capture the fans' hearts: Ryan Turkey. After a quiet debut, the young player shone brightly against Al Ain. His goal, scored with coolness and precision, was just the beginning. He was involved in several other dangerous plays and showed a promising connection with Haaland. Fans are excited. Some see him as the new number 10 for the team. Others highlight his versatility, ambidexterity, and game vision. He is described as a player who doesn't belong to just one area of the pitch, a true modern maestro. And more importantly, he is young, hungry for space, and eager to learn from Guardiola. Pep, in turn, has recognized his potential. He stated that Turkey is still adapting, just like the other new arrivals, but praised his intelligence and ability to move between lines. The promise has been made, and if he continues at this pace, Ryan Turkey could very well become a key player for City in the near future. The atmosphere is one of reshaping, but also of expectation. City fans know that the season will be long and demanding. The Club World Cup is just the beginning. Injuries, transfers, young bets, and veterans in transition. Everything is at stake, and every detail matters. With Manchester City at the center of attention, the match against Juventus at the FIFA Club World Cup has turned into more than just a game. It's a barometer for the new cycle beginning to take shape following Kevin De Bruyne's departure. And although the squad features established names such as Haaland, Bernardo Silva, and Gundogan, the void left by the Belgian is impossible to ignore. His technical mastery, vision, and quiet leadership were the cornerstones during decisive moments. Now it is up to others to fill this gap, and this process will neither be simple nor immediate. For Guardiola, adapting the team without his number 17 is both a tactical and emotional challenge. The reconstruction involves tests, improvisations, and above all, new bets. Ryan Turkey, for instance, emerges as one of the names who might carry some of this creative legacy. And while he has already started to show glimpses of what he could become on the pitch, off it, the pressure only intensifies. Being dubbed the new maestro is a heavy burden. One must have the personality to handle it. While the young Turkey continues to mold himself under Pep's watchful eyes, the club still needs to make strategic decisions in the market. The right-back position, for example, remains an area of uncertainty. Brighton's offer for Wesley Franco not only raised the stakes, but also jeopardized the city's internal planning. The Flamengo player, previously considered a viable reinforcement, might now be enticed by a different sporting project and an immediate starting role. If City truly wants him, they will have to act quickly and decisively. Whispers of alternatives also circulate in the Etihad corridors. Names like Livramento are still being considered by the board, but the situation is delicate. Negotiations aren't progressing, the prices are daunting, and time is running out. The season has already begun, and commitments are piling up. Between technical and logistical decisions, City must avoid mistakes. Any misstep could jeopardize an entire semester. However, what perhaps has most stirred the emotions of the fans in recent weeks is Kevin De Bruyne's fate. Seeing an eternal idol leave the club without a proper farewell that reflects what he represented still feels like an open wound. Years of dominance, trophies, brilliant plays, and moments that defined the golden era of Manchester City. Now he wears Napoli's colors. And, as if that wasn't enough, he's already beginning to directly influence the plans of his new club. The connection between De Bruyne and Antonio Conte promises to stir the Italian market, and the target this time is Jack Grealish. The city's number 10, who has never been a unanimous favorite among fans, but has always been defended by Guardiola, may have his days numbered in England. Conte's request is clear, and KDB's recommendation carries weight. They know each other, respect each other, and most importantly, trust one another. The hurdle, as we know, is Grealish's astronomical salary. Earning $300,000 a week is not a feasible reality for Italian standards. For the transfer to happen, the player would have to accept a considerable pay cut. But there are those who believe that the idea of being a protagonist in a new project, alongside De Bruyne and under Conte's leadership, could persuade Grealish. He has already lived moments of glory in England. Perhaps Italy represents the reinvention he needs, and while these discussions gain momentum, Guardiola must keep the group focused. The Club World Cup could be the first title of the season and give the necessary boost for the upcoming challenges. And even with Eche's absence in the next match, the squad has enough depth to compete at a high level. Foden, Oscar Bob, Bernardo, and even the recently arrived Rangers are ready to contribute. But as we know, Guardiola's City doesn't just live off its players, it thrives on how they fit together. That's why each test is an opportunity. The victory over Al Ain wasn't just another emphatic score, it was a showcase. Turkey's performance was analyzed in every detail. Haaland's movement, Gundogan's positioning, the defensive system's performance, everything is measured. And Guardiola knows. The football that dazzles is built in training but confirmed in matches. It's interesting to note that despite so many changes, City retains its identity. The suffocating possession, the quick passes, the intelligent occupation of spaces. All of this is still there. But the pieces change. And with every new piece, there is a new adaptation challenge. It's not just about individual talent, but about how that talent fits into an already established collective system. However, the moment is sensitive. The club cannot afford mistakes in the market. The right-back position needs a solution. The midfield is still looking for someone to replace De Bruyne's brilliance, and the attack, even with Haaland flying high, needs alternative. Fatigue, injuries, and the marathon of games will require depth. Therefore, every negotiation must be thought of as a chess move. Speaking of depth, the name Ryan Cherki is starting to circulate with force. Pep Guardiola has already mentioned the player, and City scouts are closely monitoring him. The French midfielder, known for his short dribbling skills and game reading, could be one of the club's future bets. It's still early, but the talks are happening, and the technical fit pleases the Catalan coach's style. The City fans, always demanding and passionate, are following everything with a mixture of anxiety and optimism. After all, this is a club that has become accustomed to winning, but it's also a club that understands the weight of transitions. And now, more than ever, patience, strategy, and vision are required. De Bruyne's cycle is over, but the future is just beginning to be drawn. And in the middle of it all, the eyes are on Orlando, where the clash against Juventus will test all these narratives. Will City be able to maintain its dominance even without its maestro? Are players like Turkey, Foden, and Bob ready to take center stage? And will the club manage to beat Brighton to Wesley Franco before it's too late? The answers to all these questions will come with time, and with the games. But one thing is certain, Manchester City is not standing still. Quite the opposite. In the background, there are meetings, calls, proposals, and decisions being made every day. It's a club in constant motion. A club that has already proven it knows how to win, but now needs to prove it knows how to reinvent itself. As the clock ticks down towards the crucial match against Juventus, Manchester City finds itself in a moment of deep internal evaluation. Every training session, Every market move, every statement from Guardiola is scrutinized by a fan base that knows that in modern football, it's the details that make all the difference. This is the atmosphere leading up to a critical phase, rebuilding without losing the winning DNA. Pep Guardiola, despite the loss of Kevin De Bruyne, remains calm. He has dealt with fresh starts before. During his time at Barcelona, he saw legends like Ronaldinho and Deco leave to make way for a new cycle. At Bayern, he learned to reinvent styles within a rigid structure. And at City, he has made history not only through his achievements, but also through his ability to adapt. Once again, the challenge is this: adapt without falling, change without losing essence. De Bruyne's absence isn't just a technical issue. It's emotional. It's symbolic. He was the bridge between defense and attack, the brain that found solutions in tight games, the player who decided with passes what others couldn't achieve with runs. Therefore, the squad needs time, but also trust. And it is in this context that Ryan Turkey emerges as one of the biggest hopes. Young, bold, versatile, ambidextrous. He has everything Guardiola likes, and he has already shown this in the crushing win against Al Ain, where he scored, assisted, and floated on the field as if he had been wearing a City shirt for years. What's interesting is how the fans embraced the idea. In less than a week, Turkey went from newcomer adjusting to creative solution for the role left by De Bruyne. On social media, comments praise his ball control, his reading of spaces, and most notably, his composure in front of goal. One fan even said, "Turkey is poetry where there was once only mathematics." But patience is required. Guardiola himself warned that the adaptation process is long. Turkey still makes mistakes, still positions himself poorly at times, and is still understanding the pace of the Premier League. But the potential is undeniable. And perhaps this is the mission, not to find a new De Bruyne, but to allow others to write their own stories. At this point, Etche's name also reappears on the agenda. The Argentine had been growing with each match. His performance against Al Ain, with a stunning free kick and incisive movement, was the consolidation of his good form. The ankle injury, even though mild, interrupted a crucial moment of assertion. But Guardiola knows that such talent cannot be rushed. The priority now is to recover Etche both physically and mentally. He is a gem that needs polishing, not hurrying. And while Etche recovers, City does not stop. Internally, the search for alternatives continues. Wesley Franco remains a priority, but Brighton's aggressive entry into the deal has complicated plans. The Flamengo player, meanwhile, has yet to make a decision, waiting for the end of the Club World Cup. What is known is that he wants to play in the Premier League, and that's a point in City's favor. The sky blue shirt still carries more weight. Moreover, the board is closely watching the performances of other young talents scattered across Europe. One name that has started to appear frequently in internal analyses is Valentin Barco, the Argentine left-back from Boca Juniors, who can also play in the middle. His style resembles Zinchenko's time at City, multifunctional, technical, and intense. But the priority remains Wesley, and the fans are starting to pressure for an answer. Meanwhile, the possible move of Grealish to Napoli turns into an increasing suspense. Behind the scenes at the Italian club, the name of City's number 10 is being treated as a strategic target. Conte wants someone who brings imbalance, international experience, and the ability to decide. And De Bruyne reinforces in every conversation that Grealish can be that name. The financial issue is tough, but not impossible. Negotiations are underway for a performance-based contract model, with bonuses linked to sporting goals. It's the type of contractual engineering that could make a seemingly impossible transfer feasible. At City, Grealish still has the respect of the group, but his influence on the field has waned. He's no longer the first name in offensive decisions. With the rise of young talents like Bob, Turkey, and Foden, the Englishman has lost ground, and as is known, Guardiola values the present, not the past. If Grealish wants minutes, he may need to find them elsewhere. All of this happens while Manchester City continues to prepare day after day for an increasingly demanding calendar. After the World Cup, there's the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup, and the UEFA Super Cup. And to compete on all fronts, The squad needs real depth. Guardiola knows this. That's why every player counts. Every name on the list is strategic, and the anticipation for the Juventus clash continues to grow. It's not just a game. It's the chance to show that City remains strong, even without De Bruyne. It's the first big test of a new era. And at the same time, it's a stage to confirm the value of those who are just arriving. Players like Turkey, Ece, if he plays, Oscar Bob, and even goalkeeper Bettinelli, who will have chances in rotation, know they are being watched closely. Juventus, for its part, arrives under pressure. They need to win to stay in the race for qualification. But Guardiola doesn't want any draws. He wants victory, leadership, and confidence. And that's why the lineup will be strong. Foden, Bernardo, Haaland, Gundogan, all will be on the field. The game will be in Orlando, with a full stadium and a decisive atmosphere. If City wins, they avoid an early clash with Real Madrid, and everyone knows this could be crucial. With the Spanish club in the other group, facing the second-place team could mean the difference between an easy path or an early battle. So everything is at stake, not just points, but affirmations. City is in the process of transformation, but they want to keep winning while changing. And that requires much more than talent. It demands courage, strategy, and above all, identity. And you, citizen supporter, do you feel the club is on the right path? Do you think Ryan Turkey and Ece can lead this new cycle? Should Grealish seek prominence in Italy or fight for a place at the Etihad? And what about Wesley Franco? Is he worth the investment despite the competition? Your opinion, as always, is a vital part of this debate. If you've made it this far, it's because you truly love Manchester City and want to stay up to date with everything happening behind the scenes of our club. So, go ahead and click the like to strengthen the channel, subscribe, and activate all notifications. Here you won't miss any news, analysis, or market twists. Your support is essential for us to continue bringing this complete, direct, and heartfelt content. Thanks for staying with us until the end, and we'll see you in the next video. Let's go together, citizen supporter!